QUBIC Labs presents Boston Blockchain Week, Stepping into the Future, celebrating the creators, innovators, and heroes of blockchain and Web3. I'm Mike Joshua for MuddHouse Media, reporting from Boston Blockchain Week 2022, presented by QUBIC Labs. With me now is Paul McCarthy, CEO and founder of Chrysalis. Hello, Paul.
Hey, Mike. How are you?
Very well. So tell us a little bit about Chrysalis.
Maybe a little backstory first.
Sure.
Might help with the what we're doing. But my background has been in kind of the forensic space, and I think one of the things, having had friends that have had issues where either they've lost their keys or had access to wallets or been compromised in some way, there's no kind of easy way method for people to have that issue resolved, right? So it got me thinking, I guess, through the whole problem. And really what we've created with Chrysalis is kind of a risk management solution for the whole ecosystem. So we essentially are creating a kind of a trusted chain of custody on your assets. And if you happen to be in a situation where those assets get hacked or stolen, or for example, if your assets have been the victim of an insolvency or bankruptcy, your claim as a creditor are already documented, and we can help with its retrieval and recovery. So we are essentially creating the analogy, that risk management system for the whole ecosystem, which I think, having looked from the kind of traditional finance space from the inside out from a long time, I think it's what's been missing.
So that's what brings you here to Boston Blockchain Week.
Yeah, so I'm actually a member of QUBIC, so delighted seeing the guys and the energy and the activity they've put into getting the event together for the last number of months. Great to see activity here in Quincy. And
right.
Sitting here in the QUBIC offices, which has been, just from my own perspective, has been a godsend. I'm the proverbial middle-aged guy with a bunch of kids. I'm not going to move to Miami to start the blockchain startup, and they play hockey, So having the ability and access to that type of network and an ecosystem on my doorstep is phenomenal.
Right. Yeah. And that's part of the importance of Boston Blockchain Week as well, is access, but it goes beyond that. Talk a little bit more about whether you're local, national, or somewhere in the world, the importance of this week.
I think, the Boston Blockchain Week, I think, look, one of the things that I think we've observed, a couple of things, maybe at a macro level and then a micro level, is, Boston, I think, from an academic and other industries, has this dominant position, right? And I think the guys actually did a white paper on this a couple of months ago, where they saw like talent leakage from the whole industry in blockchain, in particular, and technology, going to other areas, Silicon Valley. And I think there's a real opportunity to kind of reinvigorate that and kind of hold, I'll call it that, intellectual and knowledge here in the state, and really make that an incubator and a hub of industry. And I think then spreading that as well here, more so to the South Shore as well, right? So you've seen
Sure.
concentrations of that in Cambridge and Boston and stuff, but spreading that wealth down here to Quincy into the South Shore, and really making this an incubator that could be really helpful. I think there's a huge opportunity. I mean, of course, we live in a kind of a global world, an interconnected world, but I think one of the things that I've noticed, having gone from consultant to running my own company, and I think having access to people that have kind of understand the ecosystem, have that knowledge from the academic, but also the practitioner side, is critical, and being able to tap into that. And I think that's just the opportunity to evolve. So,
yeah, and there seems to be so much innovation right here on the doorstep. So it seems like a no-brainer to have it here in Quincy.
Yeah.
What do you see the future of blockchain technology looking like? I know it's a big question.
Yeah, it is a big question, and I suppose I come at it from a very different angle. So my background had been in kind of designing anti-financial crime systems, right? So looking at things like corruption, other types of things, identifying money laundering activities, sanction evasion activities. The thing why I'm actually really excited about the possibilities of blockchain is that we have an opportunity perhaps to eliminate a lot of that in the system, in the ecosystem. So what was interesting for me, having kind of traversed the old world, I call it the TradFi and the DeFi world, is that in the old world, when we were doing investigations into this type of work, it was quite difficult to actually if you're dealing with cash, it disappears, right? So you can't actually trace the activity. In this world, I think there's a perfect balance between preserving people's anonymity, plus perhaps being able to socialize who in fact are the bad actors within the ecosystem. So there's a real interesting opportunity with blockchain to be able to, for me, for us to minimize, to optimize, I call it that type of activity in the system. And then the other side is corruption, right? So, for example, one of the other type of work that I'd done in the past is working with like global aid organizations, and as you put money into government grant programs and building out infrastructure, and there's a real opportunity of eliminating corruption with blockchain type solutions, right? So integrating things like surveillance or digital imaging technology, where you can monitor the progress of capital infrastructure projects, locking that in the blockchain so funds can be released on a kind of on a proceed basis. It eliminates a lot of, I call it, corruption out of the potential system. So I see very practical implications. As I said, I see a lot of brilliant engineers and doing a lot of things, but I think what you're seeing now is practitioners like me coming into the industry and seeing the possibilities and how blockchain can be applied to solve very real problems that we've struggled with.
And obviously, business leaders, I think you've just explained a lot of it, that business leaders that perhaps blockchain is something that they don't understand or they're afraid to get into, but you're literally explaining to them of why they should get involved. So just talk a little bit about getting business leaders involved in blockchain and how it can help them.
So if you think about the major risks that now any CEO or C-level executive have to think about within an organization, is obviously efficiency, organizational efficiency, cybersecurity concerns and risks is a huge issue. And there's the opportunity to kind of really solve some of those fundamental problems with blockchain, right? So if you think about blockchain in terms of its application, because of its inherent trust within the technology, you have an opportunity to eliminate things like auditing, reconciliation. So all of those downstream type processes that naturally occur in any type of reconciliation process essentially can be far streamlined, right? Security. So for example, blockchain has proven it's worked in the last 10 years. People have been trying to hack it. It's immutable. Information can be preserved and be in a way that's non-destructible, right? So the idea of having information secure, and I think that the opportunity to socialize information, I think we're getting into a world as well where I think a lot of organizations have, over time, legacy, have acquire and obtain and retain information because that's how their business was built, especially related to consumer data. And I think a lot of them, if you'd ask them today that they have a very clear view of what information they need and what adds value, they probably wouldn't want to retain and obtain that information if they had a choice. If they had utilities or other nodes, for example, they could tap into to be able to determine, okay, what is the piece of information I need so it aligns with my business model. I think that's where we're going. And so when I talk about the security side of it, so if I can eliminate what information I need, if I can rely on third-party or trusted sources to identify the information I need when I want it, I now eliminate a lot of risk for my ecosystem. And I think there's a huge opportunity in that regard.
What's new with Chrysalis? Anything this week that you're rolling out or rolling out soon that you're excited about?
We're very excited about where we are. I think we're, going back to my earlier description, I think we're solving something very unique and that's needed in the ecosystem. We just launched our demo, so we're actively in fundraising mode. We're talking to investors and being able to show in real, rather than off the PowerPoint or off the page, and show them in real life what this actually looks like has been just a fundamental change. So we're very excited about that. And, we're really excited about the next few months ahead, even though we're hitting some strong headwinds at the moment, both from a macro and economic perspective. I think what we're providing actually is something that we required, right? So we look at things like insolvency and bankruptcies probably becoming more relevant in the space. Our system actually solves that. So if we can establish chain of custody, we qualify creditors, right? So we believe that given where we're at and what we're doing, there's just so much opportunity, and we're very excited about it.
How do listeners get in touch with Chrysalis?
So the easiest way is, check me out on LinkedIn, or check out our website, Chrysalis Digital Asset Exchange, DAE.com, and get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. We're also on Twitter and various channels as well. So we'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
For more on Boston Blockchain Week, go to bostonblockchainweek.com. For more about QUBIC Labs, go to QUBICLabs.com.